Hey, this is Christy Irvin from the Bank of America team. First of all, on behalf of our bank team, we are super excited to be here today. We want to thank you for joining. And we're going to start. I had actually thought the Power to Fly team was going to introduce us, but we'll start just doing some personal introductions. Each individual will introduce themselves. So I'm part of our enterprise D&I team, and I focus on talent acquisition. And my area of expertise is women's recruiting strategies. So with that, Lynn, let me turn it over to you, and we'll have each speaker introduce themselves.
Sure. Great, Christy. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Lynn Fairbanks. I am the Global Women's Talent Strategy Manager. I'm in Charlotte. I've been with the bank for about 18 years, and it's part of our diversity and inclusion organization. So happy to be here.
Mary Beth, you want to go next?
Hey, great. Hey, I'm Mary Beth Leday. I too have been at Bank of America for 18 years, and I focus here my efforts on the mobile app, the #1 mobile app at Bank of America. And I am also our co-lead for our Women in Technology and Operations.
Great, thanks. And last but certainly not least, Jeanette.
Yes, hi, I'm Jeanette Profit. I just celebrated my 20-year anniversary with Bank of America this spring. I am currently the CFO for our staff functions, which include risk, HR, and a host of others. I also represent the CFO group on our Global Diversity and Inclusion Council, and I'm excited to be here with all of you today.
Great, thanks, Jeanette. And I'm honored to be on a panel with this great group of women. So they all do such amazing things for us as a bank. So we wanted to start by giving you a little bit of a better feel for our speakers. So as our speakers, let me just kind of ask you, can you elaborate a little bit about what brought you to Bank of America? Why is Bank of America the right place for you? And then tell us a little bit about your job and what do you really enjoy about your job? And Lynn, we'll start with you.
No, definitely. Love the question. As I was thinking about it and just thinking a little bit about my background, I'm a CPA for the state of New Jersey, and I have my master's in business administration, specifically international business and management information systems. And one of the things I was interested in is working for a global organization. I had worked in different industries prior to coming into financial services to Bank of America. And I was really interested in just expanding my skill set, my base, and a global organization really fit into, kind of my next step. When I think about why Bank of America and what keeps me here, I did my homework early on. Does the bank's culture and values fit into my value set? Interested in making sure that they're a progressive company that continues to look to better humanity, really to invest in and to help along the way. So that was very important to me as I thought about what I wanted to align myself with. And, we talked about a little bit diversity and inclusion. I actually came through one of the conferences that the bank holds or joins. It's the National Association of Black Accountants. And so I was invited in and interviewed and was, offered the job. So here I am.
Great. Thanks, Lynn. Mary Beth?
Hey, so when I was first introduced to Bank of America, it was from a former manager from a previous company, and I never thought that Bank of America would be an interesting move for me, someone who was pursuing a technology career. I didn't think working for a bank or a financial institution would offer me the growth that I was looking for in a long career of technology development, technology management. From the first minute that I walked into the doors, Bank of America, and started meeting the leadership here, introducing me to the opportunity, I was taken away from the culture that I was walking into, the large scale opportunity from a technology perspective. I almost felt like I was walking into, for a technologist, a technology firm who had all the latest and greatest technology in their footprint, and the strategic goals that they had with technology were just fascinating. So with that connection in my network and that introduction to Bank of America, and getting the opportunity through the interview process to see the culture and see women, see people that look like me around the technology organization was easy for me to make the decision. All I had to do was pack my bags in Houston, Texas, and move to Charlotte, North Carolina, which also was a very easy decision, but it's been a great ride.
Yeah, thanks, Mary Beth. I was Mary Beth's recruiter 18 years ago, and it's great at the bank. We work with such amazing people, and not just great coworkers, but we've become great friends over the years. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Jeanette, tell us a little bit about why Bank of America and how'd you get here?
Yeah, so before I worked at the bank, I worked for a firm that did work for the bank, and so I had worked with people across the bank for probably 7 years. Before I got the opportunity to join Bank of America. And I have to tell you, I really liked my former company and I liked what I did. But as I looked around, for those of you who know me, I'm a very big planner. I looked around and I really didn't see a lot of opportunity at my firm to have, the personal life that I wanted to have. I was getting ready to get married. I knew I wanted to start a family. Those things were very important to me. And I was traveling quite a bit internationally. So one day out of the blue, someone approached me about an opportunity, and I thought it was a good opportunity. I, like Len, did my homework. And the next thing I knew, 2 weeks later, here I was 20 years ago. And so, I really have enjoyed, I've done a variety of different roles. And I think, people ask me all the time, what is it that has kept me here for 20 years? And it really is the people. I feel like I'm constantly learning and doing something new, but always working with a great group of people. We're a good team. Mary Beth and I, worked together on a project maybe 18 years ago, maybe it was 17. I kind of lost count. But it's great because, to your point, Christy, we all become good friends over the years, and you don't do that if you aren't working with people that you respect and that are genuinely fun to work with and be around.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jeanette. So we're talking about the power of connections, and we're coming out of a global pandemic, which candidly was probably one of the most disruptive events that I've seen in my lifetime. It left a lot of us feeling disconnected, not just from our work and our professional network, but even from friends and family. So I would love for our panel to share a little bit about how our Bank of America leadership handled kind of staying connected during that time frame. What were the challenges? How did you stay connected with your networks? And what were some of the things that we did as a company to help people, stay connected in a really, really trying time? So Lynn, we'll start with you.
All right, great. No, great questions. I want to start with the bank first and what the bank did. So I'm in HR, and what the bank did very quickly was realize that we needed to put support in place for our teammates, especially those that were being impacted directly through the pandemic. And so I had the huge opportunity to work on the team that actually took some of those incoming calls from our teammates to really understand what was happening and to get that call and that person to a professional. So we took each person's situation and circumstance differently and made sure that we were connecting directly with individuals. And I think if you just think about that time and just some friends that you may know, maybe it impacted you personally, but to know that a company was there to support the efforts of whatever you were going through during the last 2.5, almost 3 years, it's phenomenal. There's no question about it, just very appreciative of that. From a personal perspective, I took a Clifton Strength Finders course, and my top strength is connecting with people, besides listening, connecting. And so I'm one that every 6 weeks, not that I have it on my calendar, but I tend to just send an email to check in with people to see how they're doing, and to senior executives that I used to support. And it's interesting to get the response from them to say, wow, you always connect, you're really good at this. It's everyone, no matter what, from the CEO to, the individual who may clean the restroom or a guard, at the front desk, no matter who you are. It's again, just to ask the question, how are you? No, really, how are you? Don't give me the routine answer, but really think about this. How are you doing? Is there anything I can do to help you during this time? And maybe just being a voice to listen sometimes is all people needed.
Yeah, I want to do a little bit of a commercial for Lynn on this. We're part of the HR team together. She's on our floor. She walks the floor every day and stops by my cube and my peers' cubes and asks that question, how are you doing? And that creates a sense of, again, not just kind of work community, but family, and knowing that she's there to have our backs that I see consistently across the organization. So Lynn, thank you for that. You're a great example in that regard.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah, Christy, I agree. You're talking about that authenticity that I really enjoy about our leadership here at Bank of America, and the pandemic was a test for that. You know, you always hope that if we had a crisis like that, I mean, I remember the financial crisis in 2007, and I felt the same way during that. It wasn't a health crisis, but it was a company and global crisis. But I feel like that our leadership is authentic. And during the pandemic, since I'm in technology, we kind of had to hunker down, and we were so extraordinarily busy. It was a 24/7 shop to support our clients, to support each other. And I will say that networking took on a different flavor. During that 2 years, when we were completely virtual, you had to, re-engineer the way that you connected with people. Some people were not comfortable with getting on camera for whatever reason. They, a lot of times, didn't think about taking a phone call. You really couldn't touch base with each other easily like you could when you were just in the office, walking the floor, walking around the corner. So it took intentional actions for you to really reach out, ask how they're doing, what can I do for you today, or talk to others where there's lots of opportunity for change. So typically, if you're looking for something to continue your career growth, that would typically be easy to do, to talk with people in your network. And during this time, it just wasn't there. Post-pandemic, I love the refresh that's happening, the reconnection. It's almost like a revival. Everybody's starting to kind of dance, smile, look at each other eye to eye, and really, I really see a lot of intentional outreach, like Lynn speaks about, emails that, how are you? And hey, let's meet up for coffee. And that's what, feels good about our environment, about what we are getting back to. So very happy about the feeling post-pandemic, for sure.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you.
And hey, Christy, if I can just chime in on that, there's probably 3 things that I'll call out. Early on, when we all went home to work rather suddenly, we were very deliberate about making sure that we were connected as a team across the CFO group. There were a lot of business issues that we were looking at and we were concerned with, liquidity, funding, et cetera. Every day we had a pull-up with my manager and his leadership team. And part of it was to talk about, from a business perspective, how are things going? Did anyone need help? Where do we think we were? But then part of the discussion was, and how is everyone doing? How are all of you doing? How are your teams doing? Gosh, Jeanette, you're working at home with 3 kids. Your husband's working. You've got a dog and a hamster and everything else going on. How's that working for you right now? Somebody else was working in their apartment, their tiny little apartment in the middle of New York City. How's that going for you? So really connecting personally and professionally with each other, but also, and the expectation was, and did actually occur, that we were doing that with our teams. And I know I even had regular meetings, skip level, WebEx video meetings with the broader team, just to ask, how's everyone doing? What problems are you having? What can we do to make this better for you, this being this environment you're working on? So really, I'll call it conscious connecting. Separately, I also had just launched 2 kind of new mentoring relationships through some of the formal mentoring channels we have. And so I kept those mentoring relationships. They were all on the phone. every couple of weeks, I connected in with my mentees, and I have to say, you know, I got as much out of that as they did, and we talked about everything from how is it working out in this remote environment. They were in different parts of the company, so I was getting from them, hey, what's your department doing? How are you guys staying connected? You know, or is your team doing any fun things? Down to, hey, do you know where I can get any toilet paper? Because we're about out in my family. So, you know, lots of connections like that, you know, we try to maintain. And then the last thing I'll bring up is then on top of all of that, I decided to, I switched jobs in August of 2020, so right in the middle of it. And so I moved into my current role where I had all of a sudden 7 new business partners that report into our CEO. So some of them I knew, some of them I didn't have a relationship with. So trying to form a relationship virtually with them and with their team and with my new team, you know, look, it just became the norm of everyone being on video calls. But I have to say, to Mary Beth's point, being back in the office, it's been great. You know, there's been some in-person strategic offsites. What I've noticed is different is there's a lot of hugging going on. You know, I'm in finance. We're not huggy people, but you know, you see someone you haven't seen in 2 years. It's like, oh, we're hugging now. You know, it's so great to see you. So you know, that's the comparison and contrast I would give. But that's really just how I think I personally got through it all.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's great, Jeanette. I smiled when you said hugging. So we are now back to doing in-person recruiting events for the first time in 3 years. And we're super excited about that. And you know what? There's a lot of hugging going on with people that we don't even know that well, right? Because we're just all happy to be able to get together and make those connections for sure. So it's been a lot of fun. Let me ask a question that I get a lot from our campus folks. You guys have all talked a little bit about your networks and sort of how you built them, but what does a good network look like? Like, how broad does your network need to be? How often are you changing the people in your network? And, you know, for people, should folks be hesitant at all about reaching out to someone that they don't know to try to make a connection? Like, what's the best way to reach out to someone who's not currently part of your network that you'd like to know and you'd like to be part of your network going forward? And I'll leave it kind of open-ended, whoever might want to answer that.
Well, I don't want to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Lynn, you want to?
No,
go ahead?
No, Mary Beth,
Okay.
you go. Mm-hmm.
I'll start off because for whatever reason, I don't really consider it to be extraordinary, but people typically tell me that I'm like the network queen, and I get that from family, friends. It's just that I never meet a stranger. I see the opportunity anytime that I meet someone that I don't know, that I want to know them. I'm always, you know, eye contact. If there's an opportunity to be at a conference or a campus recruiting event or sitting on an airplane, I'm taking Bank of America with me everywhere I go, and what I do for a living, and I'm proud of that. And typically, when you start meeting someone and you introduce yourself, typically that's the first place that you go. Like, hey, what do you do for fun for a living? Or you know, and then that evolves into who do you work for and what do you do there? And all of a sudden you're joining each other on LinkedIn because you're wanting to connect them to someone that you know, and you want to connect with someone they know. But I know working with campus recruiting today from my Women in Technology and Operations role, because I'm very interested in finding female candidates that want to pursue a career in technology and operations. So I'm there talking to them about what that career could look like at Bank of America. And I talk about the importance of networking, that every single role in my 30-year career has been provided to me through my network. Once I applied 30 years ago, I have not gone out for a cold call application for a position. It's been someone in my network that I've run into, someone new that I've met that does something interesting that's been on my bucket list for my career, that I swoop into my network and and take the intentional outreach to reach out to them, meet with them, learn from them. Ends up being an informal mentor. It could be a formal mentor, but every single person I've met, I consider a networking opportunity for anything in my career and in my personal life. So I've really enjoyed meeting people over my time here and in my career.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lynn, you were going to chime in.
No, I love it. I love that you've looked at it as an opportunity anytime you meet people, because it's true. I now don't carry business cards anymore. I have my phone. So as I meet people, I look them up on LinkedIn or vice versa, and make sure that we connect right at that point. So I've really intentionally started doing that and connecting with people. But you asked the question, Christy, what should it look like? It should look like a spider web. It should go in all different directions, and internal with the company, external with the company. You just really need to really broaden your horizon and understand there's so much that you can learn from people. And whether you're in a forum and someone says something that sparks your interest, or again, just by coincidence you meet individuals, you just never know what that person may eventually be able to help you, or you help them in anything. So again, just look at it as an opportunity. I had to laugh. I right before the bank, I was in consulting, and I was told that consulting, networking was a third of your job you never would get paid for. And it was so important because in consulting, if the line of business was not a revenue generating line of business or making money, then that business, if you only aligned yourself with that one leader, then that whole group was gone. Now, fast forward to the bank, I brought that mentality in to say, make sure I network. And I tell people, I never let you go, whether you've been a business partner, I've worked with you, I've seen you on a panel, I'm going to stay connected with you. And it's really helped in my current role, which I had to laugh when Jeanette mentioned 11 months ago, I moved into this role. So again, during the pandemic, I was able to identify and move into a role, really leveraging those opportunities. And once I connected with my network and let them know I had a new role, right away, hands went up. Let me know what you need, send an email. I'm there to help you, no question. And so you just never know when your network, you'll call on them or they'll call on you. So it's important.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Chris, the thing I'll add on, because I completely agree with Len and Mary Beth, but the only thing I'll add on is, you never know, or at least I never know where I might be, what part of the bank I might be working in next. And because kind of my portfolio of work is broad and diverse, I never know what area I might need to take a deep dive in, or who I might need to reach out to. And, so my network tends to be pretty broad, and it helps me get my day-to-day done. So it's much easier if I need something from Lynn to do my job, if I've had a conversation with Lynn, and luckily, we've connected, even prior to today. But to your question of, should people be hesitant to reach out? I'm always amazed. If I think about what I would have advised my younger self of 20 years ago to do differently, I would have reached out more. And I felt like I did a pretty good job then. But sitting in the seat that I'm in today, I'm always amazed at people who reach out to me, and I'm so respectful of that. I meet with them, and I'm so impressed to say, you are doing exactly the right thing. You should be reaching out to me and others like me, because this is only going to help you either be more effective in your current role and or help you figure out what your next role is going to be. So I really try to encourage people to do it a lot, and I wished I had done it a lot more.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Jeanette. All three of these ladies are great leaders within our firm. And I would just want to put a punctuation point in that comment. I think so many times our employees think, my job is all about getting work done, and they stay very heads down, during the day, just sort of cranking work out. And what you just heard Jeanette share, our leaders really value and would want you to take the time, right, to network and build relationships in the organization, because it's critical, not just for your personal career, but it's critical toward getting that work done as well. Nobody works in a vacuum. So super, super, super important. So So let's shift gears a little bit. And we've talked about the last couple of years. We're ready to put that in the books. All of us are ready to put that in the books. Let's look forward. And I'd ask you to share what positive changes are you seeing at Bank of America? It's a really personal question, but how are you thinking about your careers now? I know a lot of people are reflecting on their careers. They're thinking about job changes. They're thinking about career changes. Like how are you guys processing the last 2 years and thinking about your personal situation? And then, just kind of what would you want to share about both of those items with the group?
Yeah, Christy, I'll jump in, and I think about kind of the evolution and kind of the story I share with my team is, if I'm honest, I came back into the office last summer, and if I'm honest, I wasn't really super excited about coming back into the office. I wasn't super excited about working from home in the beginning either. So I think what that says about me is I'm a little bit of a creature of habit. But I wasn't super excited about coming back into the office. But I came back into the office, and then I said, by the way, I'm never coming in on Monday or Friday unless I'm forced to. And then I found that after I was worked from home on Friday, by the time Monday rolled around, I actually was ready to come back into the office. Now, there are good and bad things about that, but the thing I'll share is there's two things. One, I'm much more efficient and effective in the office because I'm not so distracted by all the things going on in my home. And so for me, kind of what's changed post-pandemic is, before I might say, oh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could work from there, or I wish I could work from here. And while I still feel like I've got good flexibility, for me, what I've learned about myself is I'm better when I'm in my environment here getting work done. But the other thing that was a surprise to me is, and I almost didn't realize it when I was working from home, is I could never let go of work. And I would sit in my home office and work, and then when it was time to come out, I would literally, I'm embarrassed to say, bring my laptop out and sit it on the counter while I was making dinner. I'm not sure what I was expecting to happen, but just in case that super important email would pop up and I would need to do something with it, the laptop was there and I could never really let go. And I don't know what it was that I thought was so important then, but when I have to leave work at a certain time. I've got things to do, at home. I have, 3 kids that only one of which can drive, and they're all super busy. So I have to get out of here on time. And something about that 15-minute drive home, it's the break I need where whatever it was I might have worried about while I was making dinner during the pandemic, I've forgotten about it by the time I get home, and it really allows me to disconnect and then focus on what I'll say are the most important things in my life, which are my family and friends and things that I need to do out of that. So I think that was one of my great learnings coming out of the pandemic is just I personally need the separation. And then lastly, the last thing I'll say is the other thing I think that has changed about me is, and I always felt like I was a pretty understanding and empathetic leader, but I feel like today we have to even take that to a much higher level because our teams are facing so much and there's so much to manage with, oh my gosh, so-and-so, just tested positive for COVID and they're going to need to work from home for a while, or so-and-so's child was directly exposed and now they can't go to daycare for 14 days or whatever the number is now. So they're going to need to work from home. I think, that requires us to be more flexible when we're scheduling meetings so that there's an alternative if people are not in the office. We want people to feel included. They're doing the right things. We don't want someone to stress out because their child got sent home from daycare. So I just think I am much more flexible and empathetic, and I'm much more deliberate in backup planning and continuity planning than I ever was before. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I want to hear from Mary Beth and Lynn too. But the point around empathy, I think, is so critical. Empathy is so important with regard to inclusion, right? That we understand one another, that we support one another, that people feel comfortable bringing their whole selves to work. And I think over the last couple of years, I have really seen the culture was always supportive, but I have really seen a much more supportive culture, whether it's need for flexibility in scheduling, whether it's, hey, my dog just barked on a conference call. That happens a lot here at the Urban House, just much more empathy. and which is a real positive from the pandemic. So Lynn or Mary Beth, what would you want to share?
Yeah, I'll jump in. One of the things I think about specifically about the last couple of years is people had time to take a step back and really think about it. And if 2.5 years, let's say. And so again, I shared that I changed roles. So I did some, soul searching. What do I want to do? What do I want to learn next? And had that opportunity to move to a new role. In my role as Global Women's Talent Strategy, I focus and actually run programs that speak to women at the bank. And one of the things we talk about is, do I belong? What do I need to help myself move forward? We recently found out that, and I know I'm probably bridging another topic here, Christy, but we found out that the internal mobility team, a team that we have, actually has coaches to help individuals understand what they want to do next. Most people just don't know. They just would like that voice to hear on what I like to do, what I don't really like to do, and does that translate to a role at the bank? So we've got that here, but I also, in the program for about 1,600 women that we take through every other month, we're going through and actually giving them the tools and resources to engage with leaders. This month's program is on elevator pitch, on how to respectfully send an email, ask a question to someone you may not know because you're interested in understanding a little bit more about them or the area that they work in. So we have those tools, again, within the bank. And I've gotten discussion points from people to say, your company actually pays you to do that? Like, yeah, they do. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. So I just want to make sure I underscore that. So when I think about it personally, just had the opportunity to move and continue to grow my career and also what I bring and help other women at the bank as well.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. And I want to give a shout out to that internal mobility team too. One of the most amazing things about Bank of America, and the reason a lot of us have been here, 18 and 20 years, is you can have a lot of different jobs and a lot of different careers under the same corporate umbrella. So I don't have to change companies to change the work that I do and the career path that I'm on. And that internal mobility team is something that we started again over the last 3 years. And it's really been helpful in terms of giving employees visibility into what's out there. What's the pathway? What are the requirements to get those roles? They also foster connections, right, and networking. So we've been very, very pleased. So.
No, I was listening to Jeanette. I love her story about what she experienced about herself out of the pandemic, what she discovered about herself. And I think that's what the pandemic kind of did for us. It kind of set us back and we had to evaluate. We had to evaluate so many things and make so many decisions based on so many variables. I really feel like it allowed us to kind of think deeper about what we wanted the future. What would the future look like? And I had a lot of positive changes during the pandemic. I also changed roles during the pandemic. During this time at the bank, we had a lot of strategies from technology changing, and as they do year to year, we make investments in different areas, and nothing kind of changed about that during pandemic, other than it was much more aggressive, much more shortened timeline. But the networking was the same, and that's what enabled the opportunity for me to move to this new role. The empathy side, the discovery of what people were dealing with, my new role required me to be more connected with people more than ever. In past roles at the firm, I've been on kind of like special initiatives, crisis initiatives, and so I was kind of an individual contributor. With this opportunity now, I have the opportunity to influence a lot of people, and I have directs that I'm speaking with every day, opportunities for me to coach, to listen. I feel like that I've discovered how much of a listener that I am, and how important it is to be a listener and in problem solving, because sometimes it takes several conversations to listen to my teammates or my colleagues to understand what's going on, so that we can drive through whatever obstacles that we're having, or whatever celebrations we're planning. So it has been an interesting ride. I agree totally with Jeanette's analysis about the separation between being in the work posture and trying to get ready for my life posture, my personal life posture. So that has been an advantage for me. I also came back in the summer of last year as an early adopter. So I really enjoy being in the office, really, positions me for a productive day. I do enjoy working remote when I need to. I love that flexibility. When I've just got a day full of nothing but administrative tasks and I don't really need to connect with a lot of people. But I have so enjoyed being back in the office. The positive changes that everybody is so much more enthusiastic about the connection when they are here. So if people are here, they are intentional about it. I don't see people walking around grumbling about, I have to be back in the office. I feel that everybody's smiling, and I hear more and more as we're kind of evolving towards a full house here in the office. So positive changes, the opportunity to connect. I feel like this is the next phase of my career, is paying forward all the great mentorship that I've received in my career. Bank of America has been such a great learning bed for mentorship, fostering new talent, developing them and giving them the tools and the resources to develop into anything that they want to. This company offers you just about anything that you would want to do. It's just been great. So.
Yeah. Mary, that's the perfect segue to the next question, which was, I know we've got lots of folks in the audience that are thinking about how they make connections themselves with their companies, with a company like ours. We've talked to some degree about this, but are there formal programs or tools that we'd want to talk about that people can get connected into? And Jeanette, maybe I'll start with you on this one to talk a little bit about our returning talent program, because that's a great one for somebody who might want to do a mid-career pivot.
Yeah, sure thing. Happy to. I'm doing work with our returning talent program, as Christy mentioned. And this is a program that is focused on recruiting and hiring individuals who have taken a career break and now are interested in coming back to the workforce. And so to help enable those individuals, we're structuring a training program that helps this type of talent to learn both Bank of America and the functional work. I think historically people have been of the mindset, well, I can't go into banking because I don't know banking. But with this program, or, how am I going to explain that I've been out of work for a while? But with this program, what used to be seen as kind of a gap in one's resume, it's viewed as an opportunity. And we want to help get people back into the workforce, with the right support, focused on development as well as community. I mean, you've heard all of us talk about our networks and how, knowing how to get things done and who to connect with across the bank is so important. And so the program is geared to help with the community that you need to be able to succeed. And I think all of this, Christy, is kind of born of, the realization that we need experienced people who bring new perspectives to our organization, new ideas, who, aren't used to seeing, how things are done in a typical way, and who will question, gosh, why do we do it that way? It seems like it would make a little bit more sense if we did A, B, and C versus X, Y, and Z over here. And so we really want to foster this infusion of talent because we know that we can give people the technical skills and the support that they need for a smooth transition. So I'm really excited about this program because I think it's really going to, further supplement, the talent that we need to drive the business forward.
Yeah. And so it's a good segue. Let me go to you next. So one of the reasons we can offer programs like this is because we have an amazing learning academy, right, that is really helping us build programs. Do you want to talk just a little bit about the academy, what they do, how they do it, and how they help us all get our best work done?
No, definitely. When you think about, we've got it, it's called the Academy. It literally is called the Academy, award-winning Academy. As a matter of fact, they've won a number of awards based on just their forward thinking in learning, developing learning, the technique for offering, and then connecting with the businesses. As they continue to build out their foundation, connecting the bank one business at a time continues to be what they are focused on. So I'll go deep first. So the learning team will onboard teammates as you come into the bank, get you connected with what it means to be at the bank, what it means to work in specific areas. And then throughout your time, depending on what role you take, they'll also give you the training to be successful in whatever discipline that you need to learn for that role. So not only have they onboarded you to the bank's culture and helped connect you with your manager and your teams, but they're also there as a foundation for any area that you'd like to move into and across. It really is you just taking the time to learn what they have to offer. So when you think about this academy, they're aligned with every line of business. There's an onboarding process for every line of business. And then there's a connection through the businesses based on the discipline that you may come in and or want to learn. They're now beginning to go out into the community. I actually was just recently asked, and Christy, this is new, you're hearing it first time as well. I was asked to go out and engage with some of our nonprofit organizations that the bank partners with, and bring the power of the academy to that organization. So we're starting to now, go to organizations just like we're doing with Power to Fly, to talk a little bit about the academy and get people to think, why not Bank of America? Why haven't I thought about Bank of America before? And maybe I'll give them a try now. So I hope that helps, Christy.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's such a great resource for us. So Mary Beth, I'm gonna come back to you because I'm thinking about some of the work that you do with campus. I'm thinking about some of the work that you do with our WITNO organization, which stands for Women in Technology and Operations. So I'd like for you to talk a little bit about sort of what is that work. And we picked you, your brand is as someone who would be passionate about helping folks, right, make connections. So, how did you get plugged in? And do you think your brand and your network help you get connected into some of these groups? So that's a long question, but you're up for it.
No, thank you so much. I really enjoy the work that had started years ago, 2007. So when I joined the bank in 2004 as a woman in technology, what I was passionate about is collaborating with other women in technology to attract more women in technology and retain those ladies in their professions, technology and operation professions. And thus we started WITNO back in 2007. So it's been phenomenal ride developing a far and wide network. We've got 19 chapters. It's a global organization now at Bank of America, and it offers, the opportunity to connect with not only people internally, but we end up meeting through our volunteer offering, through our volunteer opportunities. We meet other women in technology and operation professions from other companies through these volunteer opportunities. So as a leader of WITNO, we connect with the community through multiple nonprofit, also professional organizations. We are working with young girls in STEM all the way from elementary school through high school. We also participate in Grace Hopper event, which allows us to meet young women who are pursuing technology careers and recruit them to the bank. Once we get the opportunity to work with them in the bank, then we help they're fostering our relationship and partnerships with the National Center of Women in Technology through volunteering through that organization. We are partner with Women Who Code, who is a global nonprofit organization. So we're connecting all over the country with that chapter. It goes on and on with the partnerships that the power of Bank of America enables for us. And so with my hope to connect, many of my colleagues and others that I meet with each other about being a woman in technology operations. What does that look like? Working for companies that would sponsor that, who foster the women leadership at the table. It's amazing how that network starts to build and starts to grow. Campus recruiting is one of those facets that I've always been interested in, way before I even had kids. I feel like that young people are getting phenomenal educations these days, and the opportunity to get on campus and talk to the young candidates that we get the opportunity to meet and talk about Bank of America and what that looks like as an opportunity for them to start their career and enjoy a long career like I have. What does that look like? What opportunities does have I had in my career here that I can talk about? I've recently met with summer interns this year who were back in person for the first time post-pandemic. And they talked about how lucky they felt by being in person. And when I talked with them and they joined me on LinkedIn, they were scheduling time with me. They were like, how did you go from being a developer to a salesperson to a risk partner to a product manager? And I said, it's through my desire to learn and to be challenged and to learn, and apply, what I can do for the firm where they need the help. And I have enjoyed, Bank of America being the type of company and that offers, employees the opportunity to learn and to challenge themselves and to take what I'm strong in and apply that to the opportunity. And in turn, I get to grow in a way that I've desired to grow. I want, the opportunity to say that I influenced impact in many different areas. It's not just one area. I feel like variety is the spice of life. So I feel like I've had the opportunity to learn and grow in so many different ways through this company. So the partnership with the programs that we offer internal, the power of the Bank of America brand and the company that we are to the community, and that partnership in the community continues to offer me and so many others the opportunity to bring Bank of America every day.
That sounds great, Mary Beth. I see Hunter's back on. He may be trying to reel us in so we can get some questions in. So
the flow has been amazing, and this is such a fantastic conversation. Hello, I'm not going to make this about me. There's some great questions coming in from the audience here. As one of my friends say, I don't want to make it at all about me, but it's just so cold outside of the spotlight. But we had a question from Maya. We have several great questions here. And Maya asked, I have done some research about Bank of America, and I had a question about how inclusive is B of A with people of neurodivergences.
Oh, I would love to talk about that one. Can I take that? One of my roles is I actually look after our neurodiversity hiring program that we began back in 2019. So it started in our GIS function. We work with a specialized partner, neurodiversity in the workplace. We've hired around 40 people. We've got another cohort to hire this year, and we do a number of really cool things. The academy that Lynn talked about provides all the support that you need from an orientation and training standpoint to get up to speed on your roles. We also do a lot with our hiring managers to make sure that they understand neurodiversity and they understand how to be supportive for neurodiversity teammates. We've got a lot of training that we're actually rolling out to the broad Bank of America community around what is neurodiversity, how can teammates support one another. So it is something that we are super, super excited about. The superpowers of individuals who are neurodivergent. fit not just our technology and data roles, but candidly, any role that we have in the company. That's really our mission, to make sure that individuals who are neurodivergent have access to apply and be competitive for any role that we have. So I love the question. We're super excited about the program. We look forward to growing it in the future.
Oh, that is fantastic. Can I fire off a few more questions from the
Yeah,
audience?
let's
Okay,
go.
great. So I'm going to combine two here because they are somewhat related. So does Jeanette asked, does the program include career pivoters? And someone else asked, how do we apply for the programs at Bank of America? So I'm going to kind of put those together for y'all.
Yeah, Jeanette, do you want to talk a little bit about career pivots and how we see, the returning talent program, and then I'll talk a little bit about how folks can apply.
Yeah, sure. A couple of things. So, career pivoters, I'll start with that, because I do think that, while I personally have been in the CFO group for 20 years, I have tons of folks that I know and work with and have worked with in the past who have gone on to, maybe they started in finance or CFO and they're doing something else, and vice versa. And so, the option to, move around, greatly exists. But then also, when I look across CFO and I'm looking at, what are we looking for candidates to come in, and you think about pivoting, other careers, we have folks who have engineering backgrounds. I know a couple of people who have chemistry backgrounds and actually worked in a chemistry lab, and now they're part of the CFO group. One of my close partners that I worked with was a philosophy major in college. So really, just lots of opportunities for folks who have done what we'll say are kind of complementary things, or maybe you would say philosophy would never be complementary with banking, but regardless, we really are looking for people who, smart people who are inquisitive and want to learn and can work across a team and work with a team and are strong communicators. That's really, in my opinion, kind of the full package set of what I need, versus someone who maybe has, taken 20 finance classes and has their CPA and their CFA. So, I do think we're looking for a pretty broad skill set there. Yeah. And then when we think about the program that we're bringing in, again, the Returning Talent Program, we are leveraging this group to come in, and we're going to leverage the academy again that Len talked about to get the folks that come in through this program the skills that they need to be successful, recognizing that everyone might need, everyone probably doesn't need the same amount or the same type of training. So we're designing it so we can plug and play, and maybe someone has just been taking a career break, but they do have finance or accounting experience, and so maybe they just need a refresher on the technical side, but not the full-blown end-to-end, versus somebody else is doing maybe a full tilt change and might need a little bit more. So we're designing it so that we can plug and play in that way, so it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah, great.
Jeanette, what would you say in addition to that?
Yeah, thank you. That's perfect. I was just, in terms of how to apply, so some important things. One, our Bank of America recruiting team is going to be part of the Power to Fly virtual career fair tomorrow. So we look forward to seeing everyone there. We'll have our recruiters there. They'll be able to talk with you about the program. We'll also have a QRC code at the fair that you can scan that will take let us get your information, and it'll take you directly into our contact management system so we can follow up with you. So please come to the career fair. You can also go to bankofamerica.com careers. So we have an event that's actually called the Bank of America Returning Talent Program. If you respond to the event, you're going to get the same link so that we know that we can follow up with you. And then, the spelling of my name, it's Kristi Irvin, Ervin. Feel free to link in with me. Like that's another way to do it. The best way though is to either catch us at the job fair or get to our website and either apply for a specific job or apply for the Returning Talent Program. And we want you all to apply. Bank of America is a great place to work, right? Hopefully everybody got that perspective today. Everybody go out and apply.
Well, I think that's a great segue for this question here. You have just a couple minutes left for this panel. It's been so fantastic. And someone expressed a concern here, Kristi, that I think you're already speaking to. They said a lot of work is getting automated. Do you think there'll be enough jobs in the market? So I hear you're encouraging everyone to apply, but can you maybe speak to this person that is feeling some of those woes?
Yeah, let me give a few stats, and I'm going to ask Mary Beth, given her role in technology, to talk to this a little bit too. So for starters, we have 19,000 job openings right now at B of A, right? So that we're a huge organization. So you're going to hear that number and think, oh my gosh, that seems astronomical. I mean, we're a 250,000 plus organization that operates in more than 30 countries around the world, right? So there's a lot that goes into that. But, we have, whether it's core banking roles or core operation roles, I don't think of it as roles going away. I think of it as roles getting more interesting, right? Honestly, in terms of the work that they do. So, Mary Beth, can you talk a little bit about some of the automation work that we do and how you guys are thinking about that?
Yeah, so I coach about this all the time. Automation only allows us to free up the intelligent people that we're working with, so that we can have their support for the next innovative new stuff, the new products. We have to be in that cycle to consider what we can automate, what technology can enable for our business processes, so that we don't spend time as a human working on, say, the mundane tasks that are repetitive, that constantly don't provide any value to where we're headed for our clients. The demand is so great. So we are constantly looking every day of how can we automate the processes that don't provide the value, being manual, and automating those, and then that frees up the people, to the humans, where we can introduce a new product. We can strategize on what new processes that would support, the future. We're constantly in technology having innovation summits 3 times a year as to what does the next 5 years look like in banking. So we want to make sure that everything that we do today, that we're having a path to make it more efficient, to optimize it, so that we can make room for all the new stuff that's coming. So I just tell everybody, be comfortable with change, become adaptable, because that gives us the opportunity to work on the latest and greatest of the future. Automation only enables that. So.
Yeah, and one more point on that, Hunter. So back to the academy, the award-winning academy that Lynn talked about. One of the reasons that we put that in place is we understand that our employees' skills are going to need to evolve over time, and they're going to keep learning. So it's a very sincere statement that we say is, if automation frees folks up to do more meaningful work, then the academy is standing right behind them, giving them the training and the skills that they need to be effective. So we're serious about it.
Yeah, very.
Christy, is there any in these last final minutes here, final thoughts or questions or words that were burning for you, or ways that the folks can reach out and connect with our last final minutes here?
Yeah, I think we talked about how to connect, right? We would love to see you at the virtual job fair tomorrow. We'll have QRC codes there. Our careers website is a great way to connect in. You will submit your resume to us, and we'll have our recruiters calling you right away. And honestly, if we see you at the career fair, you can talk to a recruiter live. So I think that's amazing. Bank of America is a great place to work, mostly because of our people. Like when I think about Lynn and Jeanette and Mary Beth, they are outstanding leaders. They are one of 3 of 250,000 folks, right, who all do great work every day. But our benefits programs, our learning academies, just our global reach, the platform that we have, the interesting work that we do, we sincerely hope that everyone's interested. And we believe in the power of connection, right? That is, connections are what make life worthwhile. They're what make work worthwhile. They help us all advance. I guess I'll ask, my 3 teammates here, is there anything else you'd want to add or share, or any advice to the group before we sign off?
Apply for those jobs.
Right.
Yes,
Join our
we need
team.
you. Please.
Start networking.
Right.
Start networking. Great. Well, Hunter, thanks for having us today. We appreciate Power to Fly. We're honored to be on the platform today. And we look forward to, hopefully this will be the first of many conversations we have with the group.
We are honored to have you, and thank you all for making the time to be with us today. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Great.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.
Take
Bye-bye.
care now.